Okay? So, there must be the three elements, the presence of the three elements. Okay? For a fixed price. So, kung i-check mo siya, kung valid contract siya, what's consent is when both parties agree. Diba? As to the meeting of the minds, as to the object and the consideration or the price. Tama? What is the object? In an option contract, what's the object? It's the right to buy within a certain period of time. Okay, what's the consideration? It's the fixed price, the amount. Okay? Itong option contract na to, madalas siyang napagkakamalian sa earnest money. Okay? So, minsan napag-interchange nila ang option contract sa earnest money. Now, what is earnest money? Earnest money is given by the buyer to the seller as a bargain or to bind the bargain. It constitutes an advance payment and deducted from the total price and thus proof of the perfection of the contract. So take note, dito ang parties si prospective seller, prospective buyer. Dito, ang earnest money daw given by the buyer. So meaning, if the earnest money is given by the buyer, merong seller, tama? Ito, binigay niya kay seller yung earnest money. Kung merong buyer at seller, ibig sabihin merong perfected contract of sale. Unlike sa option contract, wala pang perfected contract of sale. Why? Because under the option contract, okay, you're just asking the seller na parang, seller, gusto kong bilhin yung, say for example, yung binibenta mong sasakyan, bigyan mo ako ng 10 days para pag-isipan kung bibilihin ko talaga, bibigyan kita ng 10,000 pesos. Okay? So, ang contract ng option or option contract is only pertains only to the right to buy for 10 days. Meaning, at the end of the 10 days, pwedeng hindi niya bilhin. Okay? Pwedeng bibilhin niya or pwedeng hindi niya bilhin. Okay? While for earnest money is given to bind the bargain or parang proof siya of the buyer's intent to buy the property. Meaning, let's say for example, yung sasakyan is sold for, let's say for example, 300,000 pesos. Okay? The buyer can give an earnest money in the amount of 10,000 pesos, not as an option, but to prove that he will commit to buy that property or he will commit to pay the whole purchase price. Kung pwede mo siyang tawagin na down payment. Minsan ang tawag sa kanya, aras. Okay? To show the intention of the buyer to pay the full amount of price. Okay? Now, since this forms as the intention of the buyer to pay the full amount of price, meaning, itong 10,000 na ito, ibabawas sa purchase price. So, ang babayaran niya na lang is 290,000 pesos. Compared sa option contract, let's say for example, at the 10th day, nag-decide siya na bibili niya yung property. Ang babayaran niya is 300, hindi 290. Kasi the consideration for the option contract is separate from the price of the property. Clear? Clear dyan? Yes? No? Clear? Okay, so, nakita niyo naman dun sa LMS sa in-upload ko na resource, yung difference ng earnest money tsaka ng option money. As I've said, earnest money is part of the purchase price while option money is not. Okay? Earnest money is given when there is a contract of sale, While option money, walang contract of sale. Okay? Buyer, in earnest money, buyers bound to pay the balance. Yung sabi ko na naging 290,000. While in option contract, the buyer will still pay the whole amount. Okay? So those are the key differences. Take note, kapag earnest money, may contract of sale. May problem tayo later on. No? Sana maabot na din. Okay, contract for a piece of work naman. Okay? To say for example, contract for a piece of work, let's define first, may be distinguished from a contract of sale by the inquiry as to whether the thing transferred is one not in existence and which would never have existed but for the order of the person designing it. Meaning, before I discuss that, I would like to give an example, and I'm going to call someone to the side, okay? Let's say, for example, A is a manufacturer of furnitures. Okay? B wants to buy furnitures of A, but B gave his own specifications and or designs in which wala dun sa product list ni A. Okay? Both parties agreed. Now question, is this a contract of sale or not? Is this a contract of sale or is that a contract for a piece of work? Desiree.
Sir, it is a contract for a piece of work po.
Why?
Kasi nagbigay po siya ng specified design. So, ibig sabihin po, yung gusto niya po, ang design is hindi nag-exist currently. And sabi niya po dito, the thing would have never have existed but for the order of the person desiring it. So, dahil gusto po hindi ng ganong, nagbigay po siya ng specification, ibig sabihin po, it is a contract for a piece of work.
Okay, another example. What if same parties, but this time B, okay, bought a furniture na nasa product list ni A. Okay, hindi na ito. Meron sa product list ni A. The problem is, currently wala sa stocks ni A. So, kailangan nyo pang gawin. Is that a contract of sale or a contract for a piece of work?
Contract of sale na po siya kasi yung furniture po na gusto na is nag-exist na po. So out of stock lang na po siya. So contract of sale po.
Questions? May questions kayo dyan? Wala? Okay, that's correct. Okay, gaya nga ng sabi dito, may example din tayo dito. Okay, dun sa resource natin dun sa in-upload ko, mayroon din tayong example dun. Same reasoning. Okay? Yung facts niya lang dun ginamit is that why do not ordinarily manufacture these products but only upon the order of X at the price agreed upon. So take note, contract for a piece of work yan if the thing would never have existed if not for the order of a certain person. Okay? Pero kung nandun siya sa isa sa mga products na in-offer mo, that is plain contract of sale. Okay? Question, you just raise your hand if you have a question. The Sean and Pago, when we talk about the Sean and Pago, okay, that debtor offers another thing to the creditor who accept it as equivalent of payment of an outstanding debt. So, take note, itong the Sean and Pago kasi, minsan, napagkakamali ang contract of sale. Okay? Pero sa the Sean and Pago, sabi dyan, the debtor offers a thing to the creditor. When there's a debtor, when there's a creditor, there is a, anong tawag doon? There's a debt, may utang. May utang si debtor kay creditor, okay? Unlike sa contract of sale, wala, plain buyer and seller. Walang debt na mag-exist. Di ba? Yun ang isang difference niya. Okay, ano yung similarity niya? Okay, one party gives up or delivers or transfer a property or determinate thing to the other. Ganun din dito. Debtor offers a determinate thing to the creditor. Okay? Only this time, the debtor only delivers or transfer a determinate thing to the creditor to or in lieu of his or her obligation para pambayad sa utang. Okay? Unlike here, the seller delivers the property and the buyer in turn pays the price. Dito, the debtor only delivers the property to pay the existing debt. In other words, in a dasyon and pago contract or in a dasyon and pago, there is a pre-existing debt or obligation. Okay? Questions? Meron dito sa slide yung kanyang elements. Okay? So yung elements niya is that there must be an existing debt, as I've said. Merong existing debt. The debtor offers another thing in exchange or as payment. So, debtor offers a determinate thing. Meron. Okay? But, there is a difference between the obligation and the thing offered. Meaning, let's say for example, the amount of the debt is 10,000 pesos. Okay? Since ang in-offer ni debtor is a determinate thing or gamit, hindi naman exactly 10,000 pesos ang value ng thing. Say for example, a used cell phone. Okay? You can, if you can determine the price, hindi siya sasakto lang 10,000 usually. Okay? There is somewhat a difference. Okay? Sir, okay lang ba yun? Pwede bang i-accept ni creditor yun? Yes, pwede niyang i-accept. Kung ayaw niya, okay lang din. Okay? But, the important thing, lalo na sa contracts tayo, hindi tayo nasa contracts, nasa sales. Pero ang sales kasi, contract. Ang importante is yung consent ng parties. Okay? So kahit pa hindi, there is a difference between the value of the thing and the amount of the debt. Okay, kahit may difference yan, as long as the creditor accepted that is a valid transaction, it's a valid contract. Okay? Question? Wala? And upon agreement, it extinguishes the debt. Okay? When the creditor agrees to the transfer, it extinguishes the debt or the obligation. Question? Wala? Question? Now, let's proceed to Article 1459. Under Article 1459, the thing must be licit. What do we mean when we say licit? Legal. Within the commerce of men. Wow. Basa ka. And the vendor must have a right to transfer the ownership thereof at the time it is delivered. Okay, hindi ko naman i-discuss kung anong legal or hindi, di ba? Nagbigay lang ako ng example lang, illegal dito. Which is, sale of animals suffering from contagious disease, sale of future inheritance. Meaning, hindi mo pwedeng ibenta yung property na mamanahin mo. In other words, kapag buhay pa yung parents nyo, hindi niya pwedeng ibenta yung properties nila. Huwag niyo namang patayin agad yung parents nyo. Saka lang mapupunta sa inyong property pag patay na sila. So kung buhay pa sila, hindi niya yan pwedeng ibenta. Pag binenta niya yan, void yan. Okay? Sale of lands to alien. Bakit void kapag, or bakit illicit ang pagbenta ng lupa sa aliens? When we say alien, we refer to foreigners or citizens of other countries. Okay, because foreigners or citizens of other countries are not allowed to own any real estate in the Philippines. Hindi sila pwedeng pagmay-ari ng lupa. Okay, sa batas. Why? Kasi kung imagine mo kung pwede yan, ibig sabihin, tapos lahat ng Pilipino or mostly ng Pilipino sa atin mahirap. Malamang pinagbebenta na yung lupa na yun sa other citizens. Ibig sabihin, wala nang lupa ang mga Pilipino. Kaya hindi yan inalaw ng Philippines. Okay? But in reality check, okay, it happens. Ang ginagawa nila is that the foreigner buys a property but he doesn't register it under his name. He register it under the name of another Filipino, which is a dummy. Diba? Very dummy. Okay? Tapos, in the paper, siya yung may-ari. But if you check the property, yan, si foreigner ang may-ari. Okay? That happens. There is a law prohibiting it, but it happens. That's the reality. That's the reality of life. Okay? And huwag kayong magulat if sa mga transactions yung CPA kayo, may mga transaction na restricted. That is a part of life, and kaya kayo nandito sa USL to have your values guide you. Matalino kayo, pag pumasa kayo ng boards, guaranteed, may alam kayo, magaling kayo. But the difference is, may values ba kayo? Okay? When you know all these things, you can bend the law. Actually, you can, pwede mong dayain ng batas. Through that, pwede yan. Okay? But your values will ultimately guide you. Kaya kayo nandito. Pwede naman kayo nag-aaral sa CSU. Diba? Which is, walang values. Although may values sila na ini-enforce or gusto nilang i-enforce, but studying in a Christian or in a university like this, dapat strong ang values natin. Pag-graduate nyo kasi wala nang nakabantay sa inyo. Wala lang teacher na titingin sa inyo. Lahat pwede nyo gawin. Okay, lalo na kung accountant kayo, pwede kayo magtago ng mga pera sa mga transaction, sa mga account. Okay, pwede yan. You can get rich in a small amount of time. You can get rich. But are you willing to stake your reputation and your credibility for money? No. Money is nothing in this world. It's your experiences in life that matters. That's why you have to enjoy. Every time na papasok kayo sa school, you have to enjoy it. Okay, right to transfer the ownership thereof at the time it is delivered. Meaning, the vendor daw must have right to transfer the thing at the time it is delivered. In other words, attorney, pwede ba akong magbenta ng gamit na hindi pa sa akin? Pwede. Pwede. Kasi ang sabi dyan, basta ikaw yung may right or basta owner ka kapag i-deliver mo na. Scenario, di ba? Scenario. Maalala niyo yung stages ng contract of sale, negotiation, perfection, and consummation. Okay? Let's say, for example, my brother sold to me his car at a discount for, let's say, for example, 300,000 pesos. Okay? Now, wala pa siya dito, so he cannot deliver the property to me. Pero we agreed, in essence, we agreed. Okay? Now, since my brother sold that to me at a discount, naisip ko na, why not I sell it to another party? So, I sold my brother's car to another party. Okay? Let's say for example at 500,000 pesos. So tumubo ako ng 200,000 pesos. Okay? Ngayon, hindi pa ako yung may-ari at the time that the contract of sale was perfected. Okay? Pero pwede ko siyang ibenta. Okay? Ang nagmamatter lang is that at the time of delivery, dapat ako na yung may-ari. Nag-gets nyo ba? O masyado pang magulo? Gets nyo ba? Hindi. Hindi? At the time of delivery. Meaning, ito, kaya nga sinulat ko ito. Okay? Ang contract of sale, kapag nag-agree na yung parties, okay, perfection. Hindi naman ibig sabihin, pag nag-agree kayo, kaagad, deliver. Paano kung lupa yung binenta? Paano kung kambing, kabayo? Okay? In reality, yung merong tayong tinatawag na date of delivery. Nandun sa contract. Okay? So, minsan, yung date of execution ng contract is not the same as date of delivery. Kasi kung the same yan, ba't kailangan pa ng contract? Diba, ano yung tawag mo dun? Bigayan naman kayo. Ba't kailangan pa ng contract? Kaya mo kailangan ng contract, ng written contract, kasi merong performance ng obligation na different sa execution. Okay, we agreed today, okay, and we agreed that next week, Friday, i-deliver mo sa akin yung sasakyan. That is the date of delivery. Okay, pwede ngayong araw na to, bibilin ko pala yung sasakyan sa ibang tao. Pero pwedeng in essence na benta ko na siya. Basta yung importante, the vendor has the right to transfer it at the time of delivery. In other words, the vendor need not be the owner at the time of the perfection of the contract of sale. Hindi kailangan na ako nun may-ari. Okay? Ganun yun. Basta yung importante, yung date of delivery, ako na yung may-ari. Or may right na ako to transfer it. Paano kung wala? Paano kung at the time of delivery, hindi pa ako yung may-ari? Kaso, di ba, consummation. Di ba? Meaning, the buyer can enforce the contract of sale. Di ba? Pwede niya akong kasuhan. Sabi mo sa akin, i-deliver mo sa akin yung property ngayong araw. Okay, nag-demand ako, wala kang naibigay. Kaso, magkakaroon ng case. Okay? Yun lang yun for the purpose of explaining that. Okay? Basta ang tandaan nyo, the vendor need not be the owner at the time of the perfection of the contract of sale. Kasi nag-agree lang kayo dyan. Pero kung nag-agree kayo, sabay bigayan, hindi nyo lang kailangan ng contract of sale. Why bother executing a contract of sale? A contract of sale is a tedious work. You need to provide provisions, terms and conditions. Di ba? Kung bibili ka sa tindahan, di mo na kailangan contract of sale. Bigayan. Di ba? Bibili ka ng cellphone na cash on hand mo binayaran, di mo na kailangan ng contract of sale. Bigayan. Di ba? Ganun yun. But, hindi lahat ng transactions ganun. Paano kung binibili mo sa lupa worth 10 million pesos? Okay? That's the time that you need a contract. And that's the time that this happens. Okay? Unless, lump sum niya binigay yung 10 million na sobrang yaman, you don't need a contract of sale. You only need a contract of sale for the purpose of registering the land under your name. Okay? Basta convenient, hindi nyo na kailangan ng contract of sale. Although there are transactions that you need contract of sale for the matter of enforceability. Kaya kailangan alam niyo yung void, voidable, rescissible, unenforceable contracts. Okay? Question? Ayan, so problem? Sige. Eclipse, Angelico. Ito, sige. Can you read the problem?
X, Y, and Z appointed C as their agent to sell three parcels of land adjoining each other. He purchased all three parcels of land and asked that C be named as the vendee in the deed of sale. After some time, C, without knowledge and consent of E, sold one parcel of land to R. R was aware that the land was owned by E, not C. May R acquire ownership over the property. So we can buy this.
Sige. Okay na? O, isulat natin. XYZ is the owner of 3 parcels of land. Tama? Tama? Ngayon, meron silang agent si C. Tama? Nabenta ni si kay E. Pero si E, niregister niya yung property in the name of C. Tama? Tama. Ngayon, C, without the knowledge of E, sold the property to R. May R acquire ownership over the property.
Sir, hindi sir.
Why?
Sir, kasi yung meron pa kayong tinatawag na yung dapat nag-act siya in good faith po, sir.
Sino?
Yung si R po, sir.
Si
And
R
sir,
ang nagawin dito.
dapat nag-act po siya ng good faith in order to acquire the ownership, sir. Si R po, sir, alam mo na naka-C, binanda yung C, pero binili niya pa rin, sir. So, walang ano doon, sir. Hindi siya nag-act in good faith. Tapos, ano po, sir? Mas may real right po si sir, kasi siya po yung unang bumili, sir.
Siya yung unang bumili?
Yes, sir. And,
Unang bumili? O siya yung bumili?
yung bumili, sir. Yun po, sir. Siya po yung may real right kahit binenta po ni C kay R yung pulumas. Yung property, sir.
Siya yung bumili, hindi si C. Di ba?
Yes.
Tama? Si XYZ, pinabenta kay C. Si C, binenta niya kay E. Si C, agent lang ni XYZ. Itong si E, ginawa rin niyang agent si C kasi pinangalan niya din kay C yung property. Okay? Gets ba? But, under this one, okay, she is not really an agent but only a trustee. Okay. Ito mahirap sa batas or sa mga ginagawa ng mga tao sa mundo. Okay? Alam ni sino hindi siya yung may-ari, bibenta niya pa rin. Confident siya na sa papel, ako naman yung may-ari. Kung papel ang titignan mo, si siya ang may-ari. Si siya ang may karapatang bumili, ay magbenta ng lupa. Ang sagot mo dapat dito, R may acquire ownership. Okay? Kung sa papel ka magbilis. But in reality, as proven in court, kasi case yan, okay, C is only acting as a trustee of E. Ang mahirap, walang document. Kasi sa law, meron tayong tinatawag na express trust or implied trust. Express, meron kayong kasulatan, implied, wala. In this case, implied trust ang nag-exist. Okay? Kasi si E, pinangalan niya lang kay C. Okay? So C is only holding the property in trust for E. Therefore, C has no right to transfer or sell the property. Since C has no right, then therefore R can acquire no better right. Diba? Although, may point ka na sinabi mong bad faith, but that is not the issue. Diyan nagkakamali ang mga nagtitake ng bar because you need to identify the issue. This is a correct principle in law, but that is not the issue. Okay? That is not the answer that you want to hear. But that's correct. This is a correct answer. This is a good point. But that's not the point of the question. Okay? The point is, C is only acting as a trustee. Okay? Therefore, being a trustee, C does not have a right. Therefore, R cannot acquire a better right. Di ba? Or kahit anong right, hindi niya ma-acquire. Okay? Kasi nga, walang right C. Kumbaga, there's a principle in negotiable instruments law. And sometimes may be applicable in a civil code. Especially in this case, parang ano siya, kasi yun, kung yung isang timba na may tubig, let's say for example, at this specified, ay hindi, masyadong mataas. Para maintindihan nyo. Okay? Same size yan ha. Same size yan. Okay? Sabihin mo ito si C, ito si R. Okay? The water cannot rise above its source. The water cannot rise above its source. Meaning, yung water, kung saan nang galing, or kung saan yung source niya, yun lang yung matatransfer sa ibang, or sa, let's say for example, in this case, timba. Kung ito lang yung source ng water, dapat ang water, ganun lang din. Diba? Hindi pwede mas mahigit. Diba? Hindi na realistic yun, diba? You can follow me? Ganun yun. C doesn't have that right, therefore R did not acquire any right or any better right. Ganun yung thinking nila dyan. Okay? In other words, kung hindi ikaw may-ari, hindi mo pwede ibenta. Or, hindi ka makapag-transfer ng ownership. In other words. Okay? Basta, taking into consideration the principle that I have discussed a while ago. Pwede mong ibenta, but dapat at time delivery ikaw ang may-ari. Okay? Dito rin, ito naman kasi, at the time of delivery, hindi pa rin siya ang may-ari kasi trustee lang siya. Okay? In paper, siya yung may-ari. Okay? Pero the real right, another point na correct, is ang may real rights. Okay? Question? Wala? Ayan, ang sabi dyan, C is merely a trustee thereof and could not have transferred the ownership of the land. A person cannot transfer ownership by way of sale of something over which he has no right to transfer. Okay? The seller need not be the owner at the time. Ito yung in-explain ko na kanina. The seller need not be the owner at the time of perfection, okay, of the contract, but it is sufficient that the seller is the owner at the time the object is delivered, or at the time of consummation, dapat si seller na yung owner. Sa perfection, the seller need not be the owner. Sa consummation is the stage wherein both parties will fulfill their obligations. Dapat doon siya ng owner. Okay? (1460), a thing is determinate when it is particularly designated or segregated. Na example ko ba yung sa warehouse? Ay, hindi pala. Na-discuss ko siya last week din sa warehouse. Okay? Discuss ko mamaya. Requisite sa doble-doble. That the thing be determinate is satisfied if at the time the contract is entered into, the thing is capable of being made determinate without the necessity of a new or further agreement between the parties. So, determinate siya if it can be particularly designated or physically segregated. In my example, last meeting dun sa isang class is 5 cars. Diba? Yung sabi ko, 5 cars. Ang sabi ko, if I will sell one of my cars to Mr. B, is there a valid or is there a determinate object? Yes or no? Meron ba? Wala. Wala, kasi nga, meron kang 5 sasakyan. Hindi mo alam kung saan din sa 5 sasakyan ang ibebenta mo. Paano kung isa is sedan, isa is SUV, isa pick-up, isa van, isa jeep? Saan din ang ibebenta mo? Okay, hindi siya particularly designated or physically segregated. Pero kung isa lang ang sasakyan mo, pwede. Kahit sinabi mo na, I'm selling my car to you, my only car to you. So wala ka ng ibang sasakyan. Yun lang ang car mo. Yun lang yung thing na ibebenta mo. Kahit pa general yung pagkasabi. Okay? Or dito, my only laptop or my house located at specific address. Okay? Problem. Ito, madali lang ito eh. Fajardo. Itlin. Can you read the problem?
He was the owner of Lot 261. He entered into a contract for legal services with the early denominated as contract of attorney's fee. The REC is the registered owner of Lot 261 has secured the legal services of attorney to perform the contract. But for consideration of this undertaking, I ban myself to pay attorney 5,000 square meter of the contract.
Is there an object of the contract?
Yes, po, sir. Yung 5,000 square meter na laptop.
Paano mo malalaman na ikaw ang may-ari ng isang lupa? Sa titulo, di ba? Doon sa titulo, nakalagay doon yung meets and bounds. When I say meets and bounds, yung boundaries ng lupa. Siyempre, meron kayong mga katabing mga lupa na pagmamayari ng ibang tao. So, nandun yung meets and bounds. Dapat lahat yun meron sa contract of sale. In this case, wala. Tama? May meets and bounds ba na nakalagay? Let's say, for example, the whole lot is composed of 10,000 square meters. Ang sabi dyan, ang form as pangbayad ng attorney's fees is 5,000. Nasaan, kunwari ito yung buong 10,000 square meters. Nasaan dito yung 5,000? We cannot determine. Is it still a valid object or is it still a determinate object? Determinate object pa rin siya. The question is whether it is a determinate object or not. Hindi na. O, bakit nag-iba ang sagot mo?
Ano po kasi, hindi mo po alam kung saan part ko dun sa 10,000 square meter na lang yung box. Kung saan ko yung bibili kayo sa attorney.
Okay, merong ibang gustong sumagot? Is there a contrary answer or opinion to that answer? Wala? I will call number 1. Ano to? Aircon? Ano to? Izon? Aircon, Izon, Flores. Ay, sorry. Izon.
My one
Ha? I won. Ah. Nanalo siguro ng loto yung magulang mo ng ano ko. I won.
Sir, yung pong land na 5,000 square meters ng lot 261 is still determined, ay certain po, sir, or determinate. Even po, hindi po na-state yung exact location po yung, yung sinabi.
Why? Bakit? Bakit determinate pa rin siya?
Hindi naman po i-specify yung land na
Kaya, hindi yan naka-specify. Basta lot 261, 5,000 square meters. Tama? Is that a determinate thing? Sagot mo is? Yes pa rin. Why?
Pero kasi hindi naman po nagsasabi.
Hindi ma?
Ano, particularly designated naman po yung yung sinabi na.
Pag particularly designated, matutukoy mo ba dun sa 10,000 square meters kung nasaan din yung 5,000? Kung hinati mo tong dalawa, itong side ba o ito? Kung hinati mo ganyan, ito ba o ito? Alam ba natin? Alam mo ba? Anyone? The answer is still, it is a determinate thing. Kasi regardless kung nasaan dito, I own 5,000 square meters. Okay? So kung sino man yung may-ari ng other 5,000 square meters, kaming dalawa ang may-ari nun, nung buong 10,000. Co-owners kaming dalawa. Okay? Ma-figure out kasi natin later on, advanced article, okay, that an owner may sell his undivided interest in a property. Okay? Meaning, kahit hindi pa nahati yung lupa. Sa lupa kasi, kailangan mo siyang mahati kung meron kang co-owner. Ibig sabihin, kung hindi lang ikaw ang may-ari ng isang lupa, kailangan mo mahati to determine your share. Okay? Pero kahit hindi pa yan nahati, pwede mo pa rin siyang ibenta. Kahit walang boundaries, kahit walang meets and bounds. Gets? So, meaning, if I own a parcel of land, I can sell the portion of it. Okay? Kahit wala pang na-identified na meets and bounds. Kasi after the sale or before the sale, pwede ko na ipasurvey. Doon na ma-determine kung ano yung meets and bounds. Okay? So, to make matters clear dito, sabi ng answer, the object is still certain. Kumbaga logic nyo lang, i-apply nyo lang. Kahit balibalik na rin mo man to, akin ang 5,000 square meters dito. Okay? Hindi ko man alam kung nasaan. Akin ang 5,000. So, anong gagawin mo sa totoong buhay? Ang gagawin mo sa totoong buhay, kakausapin mo yung isang may-ari, mag-execute kayo ng partition, extrajudicial partition. Ang partition, ipa-party, hahatiin. Okay? Hahatiin. Okay? Minsan kasi matitigas ang ulo ng mga tao. Kung pwede sanang pag-usapan, hindi pinapag-usapan, kaya meron tayong tinatawag na judicial partition, dinadaan sa korte. Mas magastos yun kasi babayaran mo abogado, babayaran mo court fees, pwedeng damages din. Okay? Unlike kung extrajudicial partition, kapag sinabi kong extrajudicial, out of court, sa labas ng court, kayong dalawa lang mag-uusap. Pwede sana. Okay, so bottom line, regardless kung nasaan ang 5,000 square meters, valid pa rin siya or determinate object pa rin siya. It happens though. It happens in real life. Okay? Pabawi kayong dalawa. Things having a potential existence, you can see that, may be the object of a contract of sale. Therefore, you can sell something that has not really yet existed. Yung meron palang potential existence. Just like growing fruits. Or, ibenta mo na yung buntis yung baboy mo, ibenta mo na kaagad yung nasa wound niya. Pwede yun. Okay? Pero take note, at that time, hindi pa valid yung, or hindi pa perfect yung contract of sale. Why? For the reason na wala pang ano ang wala? Kung potential existence pa lang siya. Hindi pa nag-exist yung thing. Ano ang wala? Object. Okay. Therefore, pwede mong ibenta yan ngayon habang tumutubo or habang nasa sinapupunan pa lang yung baboy, yung biik. Pwede mo na siyang ibenta. But, if namatay yan at hindi nabuhay, o kung hindi nabuhay yung biik, walang contract of sale. Pero kung nabuhay, perfected yung contract of sale. Okay? Another thing, dun sa second paragraph, sabi dyan, pwede rin ibenta ang ano yun? Mere hope or expectancy. For example yan is sa sweepstakes or lotto ticket. Ang binibenta mo is yung hope na manalo siya. Okay, yung expectation na manalo siya. Regardless kung manalo siya o hindi, valid yung contract of sale. Yun ang difference niya sa potential existence. Yung potential existence, pag nag-exist, valid. Pag namatay o hindi nag-exist, invalid. Walang contract of sale. Pero sa sale of mere hope or expectancy, okay, whether manalo siya or hindi, valid yung contract of sale. Okay? Questions? Wala? Pero, hindi ka naman pwedeng magbenta ng vain hope or expectancy. Doon sa last sentence ng second paragraph. Okay? Anong ibig sabihin nun? Hindi ka pwedeng magbenta ng expired na ticket or na nagamit na or hindi na pwede na lotto ticket. Why? Kasi pinapaasa mo yung tao na hindi naman mangyayari. Okay, that's vain hope or expectancy. In that case, that is a void contract of sale. Okay? Gets? We are determining why is it void, why is it not void. Kasi the parties can have a recourse kapag void yung contract of sale. Lalo na kung binenta yung ticket, alam nung nagbenta na expired na yung ticket, okay? Hindi niya lang ibabalik yung pera, dadagdagan niya pa ng damages. Alam niyo ba yung damages? Na-discuss ko na ba sa inyo? Hindi pa, kasi nga wala kayong ano. Diba? Ang hirap pala. Kapag damage, yan, yung sasakyan mo na damage, yung cellphone mo na damage. Okay? In its ordinary sense, damage. Pero kapag nakita mo yan, damages. Okay, damages. Legal term yan. Okay, anong ibig sabihin? It refers to monetary compensation or monetary compensation or monetary claim. Ibig sabihin, kunwari, ako, nagasgas ko yung sasakyan ni Dean. Okay, nagasgas ko yung sasakyan ni Dean. Okay. Pwede niya akong singilin dun sa nagasgas ko dun sa sasakyan niya para pambayad dun sa pagpagawa plus damages. Okay. Kasi nga, naabala ko siya. Babayaran ko yung pagkaabala niya. O, better example, may nasagasaan akong tao na matay. Yung tao na yung asawa niya. Okay? Ngayon siya, kasi nga namatay ang asawa niya, lumuluha, umiiyak, naghahabol, isang linggo, 2 buwan, hindi makatulog, hindi na matanggap ang nangyari. Okay? Siya, kapag kinasuhan niya ako, pwede siya mag-claim ng damages for sleepless nights, for the pain, in the emotional pain, di ba, na nasuffer niya because of sa pagkamatay ng asawa niya. Babayaran ko ngayon yung pain and suffering niya, damages. Pag niloko kayo, damages. Pag violate yung right nyo, damages. Pera lahat yun. Pera lahat yun. Okay? Yan ang damages. Dito sa atin, sa sales, may payment. Kunwari, yung value ng lotto ticket, kunwari, nagbenta ka ng lotto ticket na alam mong expired, which is a mere vain hope or expectancy. Later on, pwede kang judge ng court for you to return the money, yung value ng pinagbentahan mo, plus interest, plus damages. Okay? Gets?
Ano ko ng computer values?
No, depende sa facts and circumstance. Alam mo yung allegation na tinatawag? Or akusasyon. Inaakusa mo, di ba? I-allege mo sa complaint mo na ganito ang nangyari. Hindi ako makatulog ng 5 buwan. Namatay yung asawa niya. I-measure yan ng court. Okay? Ngayon, kung talo ka, ikaw yung seller, diba? Or ikaw yung nakabangga, gusto mong i-question yung damages, pwede i-appeal mo. Okay? Pero meron kasing standard na pag may namatay, merong amount ng damages. I don't know the updated value, but that time, I think 500 or more. Pero hindi ko na alam kung magkano ngayon. Hindi siya pinepresyohan ng buhay ng tao, pero hindi mo kasi na mababalik yung buhay ng tao. That's the only thing you can do. Somehow relieve the suffering of a person. Pero hindi lang doon sa pagkamatay. Pag pilayan ka dahil sa ibang tao, may nanuntok sa'yo, may nambugbog sa'yo, you can include damages. Okay. One example of damages is exemplary damages. Ano yung exemplary damages? To set as an example. Okay. Pagbabayarin kita para wala nang tumulad sa'yo. Ayan. Exemplary damages. Okay? But not more than that, sa law na yan. Dito na tayo. Okay? Ang emptio res perite is sale of a thing with potential existence, and emptio spe is the sale of mere hope or expectancy. Sabi ko kanina, as I have explained, kapag nag-exist yung thing sa emptio res perite or sa potential existence, valid. Kapag hindi nag-exist, void or invalid. Okay? While sa emptio spe or sa hope or expectancy, whether manalo siya ng lotto or hindi, valid yung contract of sale. Okay? Sa emptio res perite, future thing. Kasi nga, hindi pa siya nag-exist at the moment. Okay? Pag nag-exist na siya, saka lang valid yung sale. Okay? While for emptio spe, okay, it's a present thing kasi ang binibenta mo is the lotto ticket or the hope itself. Regardless kung manalo o hindi, basta ang binibenta mo is hope. Okay? Hindi kasali din yung mga paasa. Yung mga paasa, yung mga vain hope. Vain hope or expectancy. Okay? The goods which form the subject of a contract of sale may be either existing goods. We're talking about goods here. Goods. Okay? Pwede existing goods daw ang ibenta, or owned or possessed by the seller, or goods to be manufactured, raised, or acquired by the seller after the perfection of the contract of sale, which is termed as future goods. Ito yung parang example ko kanina, yung may product list, yung out of stock, yung manufacture pa lang, future goods yun. Okay? In that case, furniture siya, future furniture. Okay, valid pa rin siya ng contract of sale. Okay? There may be a contract of sale of goods whose acquisition by the seller depends upon a contingency which may or may not happen. So, pwedeng, in this case, F obliged himself to deliver and transfer the ownership of his only car to S if the latter will pass the CPA board exam next month. So there is a contingency or a condition. Okay? Oops, sorry. Ito na, yung example natin kanina sa lupa. The sole owner of a thing may sell an undivided interest therein. Okay? As an example there, B owns a parcel of land with an area of 400 square meters. If B decides to sell 100 square meters to C, then B and C will become co-owners. Ganun yung nangyari dun sa case natin kanina. Okay? Regardless if defined yung boundaries niya, okay, they will become co-owners. Valid yung transfer na property. Okay? Ano oras na? Wala pa naman, di ba? 1464. In case of fungible goods, ano yung fungible? Can be replaced, di ba? It can be replaced. Or another term, another definition of fungible goods. Mag-define niyo yan sa accounting 1 yan. Ano?
Sir, try ko po. Nako-consume po.
Consumable, okay. Therefore, pwede siyang replaceable, di ba? Fungible goods. Okay? There may be a sale of an undivided share of a specific mass, though the seller purports to sell and the buyer to buy a definite number, weight, or measure of the goods in the mass, and though the number, weight, or measure of the goods in the mass is undetermined. So, ito yung example. Na-example ko ba yung warehouse sa inyo? Hindi. Dapat panoorin nyo yun. Ito next time, pag na-discuss ko na sa inyo, hindi ko na i-discuss sa kanila. Kasi, taxing on my part, hindi ko ulit. Okay. Na-discuss ko na yan, panoorin nyo yung video. Yung warehouse, full of sacks of rice. Okay? If I decide to sell all the sacks of rice na laman ng warehouse ko for 300,000 pesos, that is a valid contract of sale. Okay? Kahit walang designated number or measurement. Okay? Pwede yun. But if sinabi ko na I will sell only 100 sacks, pero in reality, ang laman ng warehouse ko is 200 sacks, then therefore, nabenta ko yung 100 sacks. Kung kay A ko binenta yan, co-owners kami ni A. Siya yung may-ari ng 100 sacks, ako yung may-ari ng 100 sacks. Okay? That's the second or third sentence. And then the other one, or the last one, is if instead of 100 sacks, okay, ang nabenta ko is 300 sacks. But in reality, 200 sacks lang meron ako. What will happen? Okay, I will be obliged to make good of 100 sacks. Kasi kulang ako ng 100, kailangan ko mag-provide ng additional 100. Okay? Yun yung sinasabi ng buong article. Okay? But there is another, merong unless dyan eh. The seller is bound to make good the deficiency from goods of the same kind and quality. Yun yung pagbigay ko ng 100 sacks. Unless a contrary intent appears. Okay? Kasi, pwede namang I make good of the 100 sacks or, okay, since 300,000 pesos is for 300 sacks and I only have 200 sacks, okay, I can offer for a reduction of price proportionately. Meaning, since 300 is for 300 sacks, then pwede ang singilin ko na lang is 200,000 proportionately. Okay, but the first option there is that the seller, in compliance with the contract of sale, okay, must make good of 100 sacks. Pero kung gusto ni buyer, babawasan ko na lang yung babayaran niya. Good for the amount of 200 sacks. Tandaan nyo, this is contracts pa rin. Okay, the agreement of both parties will prevail. All the time it will prevail. Okay? Saka lang siya hindi magpre-prevail pag against the law, okay, against customs, against good morals, yeah, public policy, saka lang siya maging invalid. Like for example, sale of drugs. Hindi lang siya illegal, that is against moral, good customs. Okay? Sale of a child, trafficking. Those are illegal, against good morals and customs. Kahit pa sabihin mong both parties agreed, di ba? The agreement of the parties are the law between them. Yes, that is correct. But this time, that cannot happen because that is against the law. That is against morality in itself. Okay? So tandaan nyo, basta nag-agree sila, valid yan. Kasi nasa contracts tayo. Okay? Saka lang siya maging invalid pag against the law, against moral custom. Ayan. Ayan, in this case, yung example dyan, same dun sa binigay ko na example. Article 1465, things subject to a resolutory condition may be the object of a contract of sale. A resolutory condition upon fulfillment terminates an already enforceable obligation and entitles the party to be restored to their original positions. One good example of this is a contract of sale with right to the purchase. Okay? Ang contract of sale with right to the purchase. Okay. Reciprocal siya kasi si seller will transfer niya ng yung ownership kay buyer. Okay? But itong right of redemption or right to the purchase may be exercised by the buyer. Let's say, for example, within 1 year. Pag in-exercise niya yan, okay, ibabalik ni seller yung property kay buyer, ibabalik ni buyer yung pera. Yun yung contract of sale with right of purchase. To understand it clearly, alam niyo yung mortgage, di ba? Alam niyo yung mortgage? Yes. When a property is made a collateral, di ba? Of a debt or an obligation, tama? It could either be a real estate mortgage or a chattel mortgage. Real estate mortgage kapag land or building yung kinolateral mo. Kapag chattel mortgage, personal property or movable property like sasakyan, cellphone, laptop, diba? Chattel mortgage. Okay? Usually, instead the mortgage ang ina-execute ng mga tao in real life scenario, okay, ang ina-execute nila, contract of sale with right to the purchase. Kapag nakakita ka na ng ganito, naabisuhan ng abogado. Okay? Why? Naabisuhan na ng abogado yung parties. Why? Kasi in a mortgage or kung uutang ka, tapos minortgage mo, yung creditor, yung creditor or yung tinatawag nating mortgagee, okay, creditor or yung mortgagee, hindi mapapasa kanya yung lupa or yung property. Kunwari, umutang ka ng 1 million, ginawa mo collateral yung lupa mo. Okay? Kapag hindi ka nakabayad, kapag foreclose yan, kukunin niyang lupa mo at ibebenta. Hindi yan mapupunta kay creditor. That's why kung contract of sale ang ginawa mo, bali sasabihin ng abogado, hindi, wag na mortgage. Huwag na natin mortgage. Wag na tayo gumawa ng obligation. Ang gawin natin contract of sale with right to purchase. Kasi ang mortgage, diba, papautangin kita, collateral mo sa akin yung lupa o yung property. Tama? Ganun yun. Kapag hindi ka nakabayad, hindi sa akin ang property, ibebenta ko. Ako ang may hawak, pero ibebenta ko yun. Pag nabenta ko yun, yun yung pambayad mo sa utang. Okay? Dito kasi, automatic na. Okay? Instead na gagawa ka pa ng obligation, okay, si debtor, si creditor, si debtor yung mortgagor, huwag kayong malito sa mga ano, si creditor yung mortgagee. This is a final subject Pero i-discuss ko in advance for you to appreciate contract of sale with right to repurchase. Okay? Instead na ganito ang gagawin nila, okay, ganito na lang ang gagawin nila. Ikaw si seller. Ibebenta mo na lang kay creditor. Diba? Imbes na papautangin ka niya ng pera, gets nyo? Paano nyo Imbes na papautangin ka ng pera, bibilin niya na lang. Gets? Gets? Diba? I-turnover mo yung, dito kasi sa mortgage, i-turnover mo yung property as a collateral. Dito, binibigay mo na, siya na yung may-ari. Ibig sabihin, makabayad ka man o hindi, siya na may-ari ng lupa. Dito sa una, kapag hindi ka nakabayad, ipapabenta niya pa yan. Yung proceeds, yun ang mapupunta sa kanya. Eh dito, sa contract of sale with right to repurchase, siya na ang may-ari. Okay? Pero ikaw na seller, sinasabi ko nga, with right to repurchase yan, parang utang pa rin siya eh. Kasi, pag nabayaran mo yan, ibabalik sa'yo yung lupa, yung property. So it's another way of circumventing the law. Okay? Kasi instead of executing a mortgage, diniretso mo na sa contract of sale with right to repurchase. Okay? Gets? Magulo. Mabilis. Parang mabilis eh. Hindi naman. I'm trying to finish kasi I might be out for 2 weeks. Or siguro 1 week or 2. Wala lang po 2 weeks. Okay? So, hindi naman next week. So, meron pa tayo next week ng video. Kung gusto ko mawala, magbigay ko ng instruction sa messenger na meron naman ako na-upload. Actually, complete yung na-upload ko sa YouTube. Whole topic na yun. Actually, pwede na yun na yung guide nyo. Kung panoorin nyo kasi yung examples ko, same yung sinasabi ko. May dadagdag lang ako ng isa, dalawa. Pero same, essentially same. Okay? So, ibibigay ko dun sa 2 weeks na wala ko, bibigay ko kung ano yung topic na kailangan nyo aralin. So, dun nyo na rin panoorin sa YouTube yung topic na yun. Para pagbalik ko, diretso tayo sa next na topic. By the way, kailan ang exam nyo? September 15, 16, 17, what's that? Friday, Saturday, Are you going to have an exam as a whole class? Oh my God. So half is online, half is... So all of you will be here, pero hati pa yan. Okay. Mas okay. Ganun din ang quiz natin So before the exam, I will give you only one quiz. It's the whole quiz. Face to face. So it will be 2 classrooms. But it is departmentalized. Hindi ko alam kung paano ko gagawin. Meaning sabay-sabay ko yan. Kasi I hold 3 classes. Alam naman na 3 quiz ang gagawin ko, yung part-time lang ko. So dapat sabay-sabay ko yung mark. Hindi ko alam paano gagawin, pero gagawin ko. Last, siguro to end. I-take note nyo saan tayo nag-gagawin.
Kung magkano po ba yung pinangbigay yung buyer sa
It depends on the agreement. Kasi after the lapse of 1 year, mas mahal na yung lupa. Kung lupa yun, kung vehicle naman yun, mas mura na yung lupa. So it depends on their agreement. Pwede din nilang ilagay na at the same price. Or subject to interest from the execution hanggang 1 year. It depends on both parties. Okay? So yun ang tandaan niya, contracts tayo. Depends on the will or the terms of both parties. Oh, para may receipt yung dalawa. What are the difference between a contract of sale and a contract of agency to sell? Stan. Can you give me a difference of a contract of sale and a contract of agency to sell?
Sir, yung mga kasi po, yung buyer po, pag na-receive na po siya na po mismo yung owner. Pero yung agency po sir po, parang may agent po na mag-receive. Kasi iba po, isa principal na owner.
Iba sa buyer. About you. Hindi iba dapat.
Sir, paano sa contract of agency to sell po, sir, is the seller is still owns the property po. Tapos yung contract to sell po is yung goods po pala, yung goods is ma-transfer na po sa buyer.
You want to add? So that you can increase your grade, no? You want to add?
Sir, yung ano po, sa may contract of sale po, yung buyer po, hindi na po pwede kong ibalik. So, wala na po ma-request of the object po na ano.
Generally, yes. Okay. While for the agent,
Agency po ay pwede po sa third person po.
ano ba? The parties the parties in a contract of sale is called the buyer and the seller. The parties in an agency to sell is the principal and the agent. Diba? They are different. Okay? And under agency to sell, the agent only acts in behalf of the principal. Well, that's not the case in a contract of sale. Kasi the buyer will never act in the interest of the seller will never act in the interest of the buyer. Okay? Nagbigay ako ng differences, no? Dinagdagan lang natin or nandyan na rin siya. So, habol ko, may 5 minutes pa. Okay. Article 1467 is all about contract for piece of work. I have discussed this na. Okay? Ang tandaan nyo lang, contract for a piece of work siya, if it's you can use the words of the law, manufactured specially for the customer or upon the special order of a customer. Or, pwede niya sabihin na, the goods or the thing never existed in the first place and would have never existed only because of the order of a customer. Okay? Wag. 1468, last na to. In case the consideration consists of partly in money and partly in kind, or partly in a thing. Okay? Ano ang rule? Kapag partly in money and partly in kind, ano siya? Contract of sale or barter? No. Yes. O, dyan kayo maglito. The first rule and the most important rule, kapag partly in money and partly in kind, look at the intention of the parties. Look at the problem, kung meron doon, na naka-indicate. Kapag wala, saka kayo pupunta sa second rule. What's the second rule? If the intention is unclear and the money is greater than the value of the in-kind or the thing, it is a sale. Pero kung mas malaki yung thing kaysa sa money, it is a barter. Only if the intention is unclear. Kasi, malilito kayo later on, pag sa problem, sinabi niya na, ang money na binigay niya is 100,000 pesos, but the thing given is worth 300,000 pesos. Kaagad papasok sa inyo na, oh, this is a barter. Diba? Pero ang sabi pala dun, na the intention is a contract of sale, that's not a barter. That is a contract of sale. So, be careful of the first rule. Dapat clear na may intention yung parties. Kung wala, saka tayo titingin sa values. So, wag kaagad titingin sa values. Basta kung thing tsaka money, tignan yung intention. Okay? Kung walang intention, saka kayo titingin sa values. Okay? Kaya pa? Last. 1469. Ito, with regards to price. Tapos na tayo sa object. This one with regards to price. The price is considered certain when it has reference to another thing, or the determination thereof is left to the judgment of a special person or a third person. Okay? So, pwedeng yung bibilin mong gulay or bibilin mong sayote is, ang price niya is the same with the kung magkano binibenta ang sayote sa plaza sa Don Domingo. Pwedeng gano'n. Okay? Doon mo i-refer yung price. Pwedeng hindi siya given, basta sinabi mo lang kung magkano binibenta ang sayote ngayon. Pwede yun. Or kung hindi kayo makapag-decide, kukuha kayo ng isang tao. Siya ang magde-decide. Okay? 1469 only applies if the buyer and the seller cannot decide on the price. Pwedeng mahihayin silang dalawa. Pare, ikaw na mag-presyo. Hindi, pare, ikaw na. Diba? Hindi sila makadetermine. Pwede silang kumuha ng ibang tao. Okay? Pero kung unwilling yung tao na nakuha nila, okay? The contract shall be inefficacious or walang effectivity. Unless later on, both parties decide on a price. Sabi ko nga, as long as both parties will decide, it is valid. So, pwedeng nung una, they cannot decide, tapos later on, they agreed, pwede. Okay? If naman, the third person acted in bad faith or by mistake, the court may fix the price. Okay? Paano bad faith or by mistake? Okay, bad faith kung the third person acts in prejudice of another. Let's say, for example, si third person is a friend of the seller, therefore, ang sinet niya na price is mataas. And sabi niya kay seller, oh, yung ganito, or yung 10% ng selling price sa akin, there could be a bad faith. Okay? Pwedeng by mistake if mali yung presyo o yung judgment na sinet niya. Okay? You can always refer to the fair market value of the property. Meaning on how the property is sold. Okay? Generally. Okay? Last one is kapag si buyer or si seller pinrevent or uh, pinrevent na mag-fix ng price or ng let's say for example, sige, mag-set tayo ng date and time kung kailan natin iset yung price, tatawagin natin si ganito. Ano pangalan mo? Angelito. Okay? Mag-meet tayo sa E25. Doon natin iset yung price. Pumunta ka ngayon. Ikaw si buyer, pumunta ka ngayon. Si seller, pinaharang niya na sa tropa niya si Angelito. Doon sa baba. Pero pumunta siya dito. Okay? Pwedeng maging liable si seller kasi he prevented the third person to fix the price. Diyan na papasok yung pwede siyang maging liable for damages. Okay? Kasi nga, nag-agree kayo na si Angelito ang magsiset ng price tapos dumating yung araw na mag-set siya ng price, kinarangan mo. Okay? Questions? Yes, third person.
Pero paano po siya, wala pong knowledge yung person dun sa price.
Kaya nga judgment niya eh. Kapag judgment, meron ka ng knowledge. You are informed. At saka sa normal na transaction or sa real world, ini-inform talaga siya. Pag ganito yan, ganito. Magkano kaya yan pwedeng ibenta? Then, saka siya magbibigay ng judgment niya. Usually, ito yung mga assessors, yung mga nag-assess ng price. Okay, sila yan usually. Okay? Pero under the law, kahit sino, okay, pwede naman yung pinagkakatiwalaan yung dalawa. Or, ang sabi dito, special person or persons. Take note of persons. So, pwedeng committee. Kapag more than one, committee. Okay? Pwedeng yung katiwala ko. Let's say, for example, kotse. Okay? Isang appraiser ko. Appraiser ni buyer, appraiser ni seller, tapos isang independent appraiser. Para mag-decide sila kung magkano yung sasakyan. Pwede ganun. Okay? Questions? Special person or persons yan, so hindi lang isa. And then, itong simulated price, I have discussed this in another class. Dapat real, hindi simulated. Meaning, totoo, hindi gawa-gawa. Okay? Kasi pwedeng merong contract of sale, nakalagay dyan 1 million, pero in reality, walang bayaran na naganap. Kunwari, nagbenta ako sa kanya, anak ko siya. Sinabi ko dun sa contract of sale, I sold to her a portion of my land for 1 million pesos. Nakalagay dun may price, may consideration. But in reality, wala naman siyang binayad sa akin. Okay? Hindi siya valid. It's not a valid price. It lacks consideration. Therefore, it's not a valid contract of sale. Okay? Second, certain. Okay? Na-discuss natin with reference to another thing or upon judgment by special person or persons in money or its equivalent. Okay? So, kaya mo sabi ko kanina, pwedeng in cash, pwedeng partly in kind. Okay? For manner of payment, as I have discussed with the other class, hindi lang basta yung price. Dapat pati yung manner of payment. Kasi pwedeng nagka-agree kayo sa price, pero hindi kayo nagkaroon ng common ground as to the manner of payment or mode of payment. Baka ang gusto ni seller, lump sum mo bayaran, pero hindi mo kaya as buyer, in-offer mo installment. Hindi kayo magka-agree. Okay? Walang agreement as to price. Okay? Questions?
Contract po.
Ano?
Option contract po.
Oh.
And ano po difference pag wala pong consideration? Kung narito wala pong 10,000.
Yeah. Kapag walang consideration ng option contract, in the first place, diba contract siya, option contract. So dapat meron lahat to. Tama? Paano kung walang consideration? Ang tanong, is there a valid contract? Wala. Therefore, walang may enforce. Therefore, Kahit hindi tapos ito ni seller, pwede niyang ibenta. Okay? Hindi siya bound by it, by the option. Kasi dito, kung merong consideration, bound siya by the option. Ibig sabihin, hindi niya pwedeng ibenta within 10 days. Kapag binenta niya, maging liable siya. Okay? Kapag walang consideration, okay, walang consideration, kahit kinaumagahan, pwede niya nang ibenta kung may bibili. Okay? Yun yung relevance ng consideration. Okay? Meron pa? I close this. Next natin, 1470. Pero itong 1470 na-discuss ko na sa first class. Discuss ko na next week. Questions? Wala? Wala? Okay, sige. Stand this way. Bye class. Ingat. Ay, stop mo. Okay, stop.